The purpose of this tutorial is to instruct you on how to use the National Antimicrobial Resistance Monitoring System's NARMS Now Integrated Data Dashboard featuring real-time resistance data. NARMS Now is a collection of visuals that allows users to look at trends in resistance to specific antimicrobial agents according to source, bacterial species, and serotype. Let's get started. The first thing you will see in NARMS Now is the home page with the table of contents. At the top, there is a little bit of information about NARMS Now, including information on the real-time genotypic resistance data. The main purpose of the table of contents is to help navigate you to the dashboards that follow. These are all buttons that you click on to be taken to the corresponding dashboard. So I'm going to start by clicking on the button for the first one, Antimicrobial Resistance by Year. Every dashboard within NARMS Now has an information icon that you can hover over and see what the dashboard does and how to use it. This first dashboard allows you to compare resistance trends to different antimicrobial agents. There is also a button on the top right that you can click on to take you back to the home page. To populate the data on this dashboard, you simply need to use the filters at the top. Let's say I want to compare ampicillin resistance to nalidixic acid resistance and salmonella isolated from retail ground turkey. First, I will select salmonella as the bacterium. And then I'm going to keep this species or serotype filter set to all. And then I'm going to change the antimicrobial agent to look at ampicillin and nalidixic acid. And change the source to retail ground turkey. And now that I have made my selections and the graph is populated with what I want, I'm going to go into more detail about the graphs in NARMS Now. The solid portion of each line represents the finalized phenotypic resistance data, which is the proportion of isolates tested that are interpreted as resistant based on clinical breakpoints or epidemiological cutoff values. The dash portion of each line represents the predicted resistance or genotypic resistance data, which is the proportion of isolates sequenced that have an acquired genetic mechanism that allows them to grow at higher antimicrobial concentrations. Right now, we are continuing to verify the genomic results using standard in vitro susceptibility testing methods. So after we finish susceptibility testing and validation of the data for each year, the data point becomes solid. For example, when we release our 2021 integrated report summary, this data point will become solid. If you hover over a point in the graph like I am now, you will see some more detailed information about that data point. And since I selected salmonella as the bacterium, there is an extra feature on this dashboard. I can select a data point in the graph and see a distribution of serotypes below for that year. So in 2020, serotype infantis accounted for most salmonella isolates that were resistant to ampicillin and nalidixic acid. And to get rid of this distribution, I would just click on the point again, and it would disappear. One other feature on this dashboard, as well as the other dashboards within NARMS Now, is the ability to exclude any predicted resistance data. So you only see years where there's finalized phenotypic resistance data. You would do so using this last filter here and switching it to no. And now the data only goes up to 2020, which is the last year we have finalized phenotypic resistance data for any of the retail sources. And then I'll just switch it back and the predicted resistance data is included again. The last feature on each of the dashboards within NARMS Now is the ability to switch any of the visuals to table form by using this toggle here. So moving on to the next dashboard, I'm going to click on the home button and then click on the button for resistance to multiple antimicrobial agents. This dashboard allows you to compare resistance trends to any combination of antimicrobial agents. Like the first dashboard, I'm going to start by selecting which bacterium I want. So this time I'm going to select Campylobacter. And I'm only going to look at the species Jejuni. And then I'm going to select my combination of antimicrobial agents. I'm going to select a combination of ciprofloxacin and tetracycline. And then compare the resistance trends in the chicken sources. So I'm going to remove humans and keep retail chickens, chickens product, and chickens cecal selected. So this dark green line here represents the proportion of retail chicken isolates that were resistant to both ciprofloxacin and tetracycline. These isolates may have also been resistant to other drugs, which is why the title says at least. There is one other feature unique to this dashboard. When you click on any of the data points, you can see the underlying genetic distribution for that year. So if we click on this data point in 2024, the distribution of resistance genes for each of the sources and drugs up here below. This distribution is available for all data points that fall under the predicted resistance portion of the graph. But for the phenotypic resistance portion, this will only appear if the data is available. Now, as we go on to the next dashboard, MultiDrug Resistance, you can compare MultiDrug resistance by the number of antimicrobial classes. Currently, we only include those classes we phenotypically test for, meaning that genes conferring resistance to drugs like fosfomycin would not be included in our predicted resistance portion of this graph. Again, you start by selecting a bacterium and then using the second filter to look at a specific species or serotype. I'm going to look at Enterococcus this time. And I'm going to keep the number of antimicrobial classes the same, looking at greater than or equal to 3. Since this is the traditional definition we use for multi-drug resistance. And then for sources, I'm going to compare the sources we have available for cattle. So that's retail ground beef, cecal contents of beef cattle, and cecal contents of dairy cattle. And now I can compare multi-drug resistance in these sources. For Enterococcus, we do not do any whole genome sequencing for retail sources, which is why this line here, the dark red, only goes up to 2020, and there isn't anything available for predicted resistance. There are no other features unique to this dashboard, so I will move on to the next one, which is map of resistance. And this is where you can see the resistance percentages across the US for a given year. Geographic data is only available for the retail sources and humans at this time. And while all 50 states participate in the human leg of the NARMS program. Not all states participate in the retail meat leg. A list of participating states is available on the About NARMS page on the FDA website. As with the previous dashboards, just use the filters that appear at the top. So I want to look at resistance to gentamicin and salmonella from humans. So I'm going to keep salmonella selected and keep all serotypes selected. Change the antimicrobial agent to gentamicin and change the source to humans. This dashboard allows me to go back to the first year of collection, which in this case was 1996, and see how resistance has changed over the years. For example, 12.4% of the isolates from California were resistant to gentamicin in 1996, but if I go up to, let's say, 2022, only 3.4% were resistant. If we go back to the home page, at the bottom, there are a few dashboards listed under additional information. The first one takes you to a dashboard that shows the percentage of food animal at slaughter and retail meat samples that were positive for each bacterium. You can use this first filter to change the bacterium and use the second filter to look at a specific host. The next dashboard just provides a reference table of genes and the corresponding antimicrobial agents and classes that they confer resistance to. So users are able to see exactly how we are coming up with those predicted resistance numbers. And the very last dashboard is the references page. And if you go to that page, you will see some definitions and additional materials that we have provided. And that concludes the NARMS Now integrated data tutorial. Thank you for watching.